Hey Simlies, it's Deligracy here, and I decided today to do a landscaping video in The Sims 4. I've been getting a lot of feedback from you guys asking for tips on how to landscape your builds in The Sims 4, and I've also been getting several requests to do a landscaping video, so I thought, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. So I thought this build that I did yesterday, I thought because it was such a lengthy build video, because I spent a lot of time of it, it went for ages. So I actually completely cut out the landscaping portion of that video. And I thought because the landscaping was quite elaborate and there was a fair bit of it, that it would be perfect to make a separate video of for those of you guys who did want to, know a few tips on how to landscape. So if you do want to watch this speed build, I'll link it in the description down below. It was one of my favorite speed builds that I've done. So yeah, that'll be down there if you want to check that out. But otherwise, enjoy the landscaping. But basically, my first tip is if you want to landscape quite a bit, a nice idea is to find a color palette that will suit your house. So for this house, the main colors in it are bright pops of red and bright accents of white. So I decided to make sure that there are a lot of white flowers and a few accents of red. Another great thing to utilize is these, wall foliage or wall greenery that's been coming in a few of the new expansion packs and stuff packs. Particularly the expansion pack Get Together provided us with quite a few of them, and they're really handy if you need to cover up some mistakes on the side of the houses. If there's any inconsistencies with the wallpaper or the roofing or anything, they're really good to cover up any of those mistakes. And I just kind of slap them all over the house and mix two of them together because I find it looks a little bit more natural. And I also hold down the Alt key as I'm placing it on the wall because you can move it around off the grid. And that is another really important thing when you're landscaping, to place things on different angles. Make sure you rotate the object, otherwise they'll just look too manicured. So one way you can do that is using your keys on your keyboard. What are they? Like the pointed brackets? I don't even know what they are, but those things will rotate them around. Or if you hold down Alt, when you click it down to place it, you can rotate it on any angle. So that's really awesome. Another handy thing that was an addition to The Sims 4 is the fact that you can size up objects, which is a landscaper's magical power, because it just makes things look a lot better when you can size some of them up and size some of them down, because plants don't grow kabang or kaboom to one size. There's a lot of different parts of a plant growing, so having smaller ones and bigger ones totally makes sense. So to do that, you use your bracket key. So you can use the right bracket key to size it up and the left bracket key to size it down. In terms of trees, good to have a mix of trees. One tip that I find really useful is actually being able to look at the world you're building in and to see what trees are already in the world around the lot you're building on, and to copy them. So for this house, I did see pine trees in the background. Pine trees are not something I'm that familiar with living where I am in Australia, so I don't really know how to place them. So I looked around the world for inspiration and also got those green trees as well because they were in the world too. So that makes it really easy. Or just refer to photos that you might have. And another thing is, if you're placing anything diagonally, like a path or anything, or you want to make an irregular shape, you can actually press Control F and that will change the square floor tile into a triangle. So that's how we made this pathway to a diagonal pool, which I think just makes their home look a little bit more dynamic, a little bit nicer. You're probably noticing now I'm having a little bit of difficulty with that fencing. There is a glitch in the game that I could not fix, and basically when I placed the gate, there are holes in the fence, and no matter how many times I tried to replace the fence, there would still be the same holes. And then there were more holes. I was like, what? This is so annoying. So what we end up doing is actually using these hedges to kind of cover it up a little bit. And I find that when there is something that's not going to plan, you discover new skills or new ways of building, which is actually hidden in disguise a really good thing. So we're just experimenting with a few hedges. It was a little bit tricky because that long hedge that I really liked didn't actually fit where I wanted it to go. So I tried putting these hedges in and I was like, I mean, it looks okay, but it's kind of a little bit rigid and looks like a little bit weird and uncomfortable and not quite balanced. So in a second, you'll see what I do to figure out what we're going to do there and make it actually look pretty good, I thought. I liked it in the end. But yeah, weird glitch. I don't know if that's from the update. I haven't actually encountered that before on The Sims, and I've done a lot of fences and gates placement, so who knows? I've got no idea. Another thing is make sure you place the trees around in an irregular fashion, you know, unless you're making a super duper duper manicured house and it's meant to look like all the trees have been planted perfectly in a row. I just think it looks more natural that way. And so we're placing these circular hedges within the hedge fence. That ended up being the way I solved that weird fencing glitch. And I think it actually, once like the whole thing's completed and we blend it in more, it actually looks really nice. So that was all G, all good. And sometimes I like to frame the lot with an entire fence going around the whole thing. And for this build that made sense, but because all of that hedging looks a bit like, whoa, that's like crazy, that is a lot of hedging, I decided to break it up with the white fence to tie it in with the pool area as well that has a white fence around it. Another handy hint is using the stones along the pathways. That can often look quite nice, and it's a common thing that a lot of players do, I think, to line pathways with stones and rocks. And we're just popping in the white fencing here amongst the hedges, and you know, changing up the fencing a little bit can make it look really nice, I think, and just add that extra little bit of detail. I was also thinking about putting an archway in here, but I was like, nah. And then, oh my gosh, we had the fence problem again. I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. So I'm pretty sure we just put two bushes there. And I was like, hey, that actually looks quite nice at the entrance. So there's another example of something going wrong, but actually being something useful marked in disguise. I was going to put a natural pool here. There are tons of tutorials already on YouTube on how to make a natural pool in The Sims 4. And I just felt like for this house, I preferred the idea of having this nice monkey bar play obstacle thing at the front of the house, because this house is for one of my Let's Plays and this house has kids there. So I thought that was kind of a nice way of making this look like a really family-friendly home. And of course, you need to terrain paint around the trees beneath the bushes. Really quickly, just go to the dirt one, the brown one, and just, you know, spot underneath the bushes and the plants and around the house a little bit of darkness, because that's naturally what happens to grass. And also underneath the monkey bar, I draw a line of that dirt as well, because it looks like the ground has been worn from kids playing on the monkey bar. It's also good to mix terrain paints with other ones, so you can get the floral ones too. So it looks like some leaves have fallen on the ground, and you can adjust the opacity of these terrain paints and the size of them. And I like to use a lower opacity, so it's not just like bam, dirt, and then green grass, because, you know, naturally everything blends. We're also creating here just a little, I guess, canopy area, which ends up having a nice outdoor living table set underneath. And this is another fun idea. We use the bushes here to I guess, show vines climbing up the canopy, which I think is a nice detail. And even though these wall details of the flowers are kind of square and angular, if you put them on different angles, you can actually add the illusion of flowers growing up the canopy as well. We also put just a little bit of super short fencing around that entire pavement area, around those kind of terracotta colored tiles. I feel like it frames it a bit more nicely. And then we use the higher, shorter fence to create the illusion of a little bit of a farming area or spot to grow plants. And for the moment, just for the sake of this build, we just put in rose bushes, I think, there. But in the actual gameplay, when you actually play in this household, you could grow fruit and whatnot there. I also thought we'd use some of the roof decorations here as well above that front door. Kind of more for the purpose of this video and for being experimental, to show you guys that you can use those roof decorations or outdoor exterior decorations, and to not forget about them. You know, there are objects in build mode, not just buy mode, that you can explore and use. And I'm also just putting in the cheat there, the bb.show hidden objects cheat on. And what that does is shows us all the objects that you usually encounter during your gameplay, but you can actually just pick them out and use them straight away without having to discover them. So we've got a unique plant pot there that you'd usually build using the workstation, I think. And I was going to try and plant some bushes there, but it just wasn't working for me. So we end up using the landscaping items in build mode just to give that illusion of a garden. And popping a couple of sunflowers in those planter pots as well, just to make it look real from the get-go. Also, don't forget the handy outdoor I guess, section of buy mode, because that's really useful when you're doing outdoors. I often just like to go straight into that catalog area and just do my whole outdoor furnishing from there. Again, we're using another terrain paint and blending it in a little bit, concrete and dirt, to create this nice little outdoor fire. And you know what? Just placing a rock there, some of you guys I know you'll probably be like, why didn't she just put like one rock there? That looks stupid. I thought it looked nice, so I just left it there. Each to their own, you know. And we're adding a few other colored bushes here behind the hedge, because I feel like that area would be the spot where more wildflowers would grow and it wouldn't be as carefully manicured. So that's why we do that. Also, I can't remember if I already said this, but make sure you have the move objects on sheet activated so you can overlap all of the bushes and objects. I hope I said that at the start of the video. Also, those flowers that are really light and kind of spread out, those objects, those little daisy flowers, they're really useful as well to place at the end amongst other things. And really, it's all about just layering and layering different plants that kind of go together. And, you know, once you've done it a few times, you get a real feel for it. And then, of course, put a little bit of outdoor seating, and then, you know what, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much good to go. So, yeah, hopefully that has been helpful to you guys. Be sure to comment down below if you want to see more video tips like this, and I'll continue to make videos like this. But I just thought I'd show a couple of the screenshots from the finished build video that I did. It doesn't focus that much on the garden, but at least you can get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like afterwards, and the little farm garden there as well. But I love this build. I liked doing something traditional for a change. Anyway, guys, I hope you are having a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are in the world. I'll speak to you soon.